Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Good morning, everyone, and all protocol observed. I want to to say very sincere thanks and express appreciation for your presence with us here this morning, and also on behalf of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, acknowledge the presence of some of our colleagues here. Sorry, my voice wanted to go. The presence of our colleagues, our investigators from both the National Ethiopian Human Rights Commission and then the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. Allow me also to thank Daniel and then compliment his detailed presentation. I will later on mainly give you the summary of our recommendation, but before then, I just wanted to offer some thought and some reading from OHCHR perspective on the report. Probably there may be some repetition because Daniel has been very extensive, but all the same, I believe that it's never bad to do good many times. Our joint report with the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission has today laid bare the terrible toll on civilians of the conflict in Tigray from early November 2020 to until 28th of June 2021, as Daniel mentioned, when the government of Ethiopia declared a unilateral ceasefire. Indeed, and based on what my colleagues, my partner, have said, we have indeed a reasonable ground to believe that during this period, all parties to the Tigray conflict have committed to varying degree violation of international human rights, humanitarian, and then refugee law. Civilians in Tigray have been subjected to brutal violence and suffering, and the joint investigation team uncovered numerous violations and abuse, including unlawful killings, extrajudicial execution, torture, sexual and gender-based violence, violation against refugees, and then forced displacement of civilians. I'm not going into those details because Daniel has already given you a lot of such. Civilians indeed paid and continue to pay the heaviest price. But I want to talk to you about stories. I want, in the frame, in the context of what he's described as a finding, I want to talk about, just randomly picked from so many testimony that we've been able to collect. I want to talk about the family of 4 people killed in Mekele, as their house was shelled reportedly by the Ethiopian National Defense Forces without any apparent military justification. I want also to talk about the 26-year-old woman in Adyet who was gang raped reportedly by Eritrean Defense Forces soldier in front of her 3-year-old daughter. And then I also wanted to talk about the man in Maikadra attacked with machetes, reportedly by the Samri Tigrayan youth group, shot in the back and thrown in the fire. The war continues with this egregious testimony that we've been able to collect across the board. And every day, more people are suffering and are dying. It is vital from our perspective that all parties heeds the repeated calls to end hostilities and seek the lasting ceasefire. As ever, there is an urgent need for a serious inclusive dialogue with the genuine intention on all sides to reduce tension, avoid more civilian suffering, and find peaceful solution. As he mentioned earlier, we embark in this joint investigation at the invitation of the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission to enable our teams to get first-hand information on the facts to allow us to provide a faithful account of the situation in Tigray and to assist in ensuring accountability and peace. The report, as you can see, is not an exhaustive record of all violations and abuse that occur during the conflict. But it fairly, and I'm very strong about that, illustrates the main type and overall pattern of violation and abuse. We are, again, and I want to repeat it again, grateful to the many victims and witnesses who share their experience and to others who provide pertinent information. Their voices speak in the pages of this report. From information collected and analyzed, the report, the joint investigation team has, and he has indicated already, very reasonable ground to believe that a number of these violations may amount to crime against humanity and a war crime, which require further investigation to ensure accountability. The primary responsibility for addressing the violation rests, of course, with states as part of its obligation to respect, protect, and fulfill human rights obligation. And before I give you the recommendation, the summary of them, I will want really very specifically to amplify here what victims and survivors of violation conveyed to our joint investigation team. What did they tell us? They told us that they want their means of livelihood restored. They told us they want a reparation for their destroyed homes and all they have lost. They told us they wanted to know the truth about what happened to their loved one, for all sides to acknowledge their role in the suffering they have inflicted to them, and for the perpetrator to be brought to justice. That's what they told us. It is indeed in listening to those voices from the victim and survivors that, among many other recommendations, the report outlined the following recommendations. Parties to the conflict should agree without precondition to immediately end hostilities, enabling its space and then to be open toward achieving a sustainable and an inclusive peace. The state should ensure prompt, comprehensive, and an effective investigation by independent and impartial body into allegations of violation of international law, international humanitarian law, refugee law, domestic law, and hold perpetrators accountable. The states should initiate a victim-centered and gender-sensitive reparation scheme that includes restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, including the right to the truth and guarantees of non-repetition. The international community should support initiatives to strengthen justice and accountability for serious violation and crime, including effort by the Ethiopian authorities to investigate and prosecute perpetrators for violations of human rights, humanitarian law, and refugee law committed within the context of the conflict in Tigray. The state of Eritrea should investigate violations committed by its forces and hold accountable those implicated. A key concern of our report is due accountability, as you can see. National authorities, as I say, have the primary responsibility to deliver fair and independent proceedings that address the full range of violations identified and not isolated individual instances. And if national authorities and national mechanisms are not in position to do so, an international independent investigative mechanism should be considered. It is therefore very crucial that the government of Ethiopia and Eritrea ensure that those responsible for serious human rights violations are indeed held accountable regardless of the affiliation of their perpetrators. I would like to end my thought and then keyword by offering a very simple, certainly a common knowledge for everyone in this room, which is related to the conflict, but about Ethiopia and the role Ethiopia plays in the regional context. Ethiopia is a key country in the region. There's no doubt about it. I just wanted to reiterate here again something that we have been saying all the time, that a prolonged crisis in this country could be a very disastrous situation for the regional stability, for peace and security. And this is not just a concern to Ethiopians, to Tigrayan, to everyone affected by this conflict, but it is a reality that concerns the whole of the East and the whole of Africa. I want to leave you with those thoughts that we are all in together, and the voices that we are offering today is a voice of solution. It's a constructive voice that could help allow each and everyone be part of a process that ensure accountability for the wrong, but also use accountability process for a sustainable peace conversation that could help Ethiopia to remain together and the people of Ethiopia to be safe and to live safely. I thank you.